Hey guys, I'm going to talk about this in a second, but this is very important for this video. I want to talk about Aggrend's tweet, and I kind of just want to, a lot of this, whatever. I don't, I don't want to, I don't know. I don't know to say this in like a nice way, but I don't necessarily like really trust Aggrend, um, and I don't really want to say too much because I'm kind of like, I'm kind of hoping he watches this to see my point, but I don't necessarily trust him. And I say this because I think Agron's done a great job at communicating with the community. But I think it's not as perceived. Like I think if you're really not looking into it or following it, you're probably like, yeah, Agron's doing an insane job. Blizzard's actually communicating with people. But then when you look at it and you see the snarky replies or the kind of half answers or the dismissive answers that are consistent, you're kind of like, yeah, I don't really know. And he says stuff a lot that either very quickly goes to complete 180 or just blatantly isn't true. I'm going to go to one right now. And I have to pull over my Discord. Sorry. It's like doing the streamer mode thing. We're going to go to Agren. And if you didn't watch Agren on this, or see Agren talk about this, I think there was a whole Wowhead article about it. But, can I not do that? There we go. Okay, so it's on streamer mode. Dude. Computer science major? Can't figure out. Okay. He talks about, in this message, he talks about, like, how he's going to start hanging out in the Discords more, getting to see what the classes want, in this last paragraph here, and how important that is. And, I mean, he was, I will say to his credit, he was in the WoW Classic Era Discord in 2022, and that was cool. Like, that was actually, like, holy shit, like, they're actually here, and this was when Classic Era was starting to gain a lot of traction again, and really started to pop off. And, he had said before, and I for the life of me cannot find it in that Discord, but you're more than welcome to try to find it. He had said at one point that I reference it in this message in 2022, that he references that he really, his DMs are like an open door policy. Like he doesn't really want to be pinged, but he doesn't really mind being messaged because he wants the open door communication. And that's obviously, saw your message regarding DMs being an open policy idea. This is pretty much my idea of trying to find a way to create a gold sync and item to keep old raids relevant in era. They always will be, even with this item, while keeping world buffs hassle free and not a worry at all for era raiders, because of course there is that prevalent fear that eventually they will just run out of tunes to drop buffs. But we're talking about JJ McCarthy, excuse me, out there. And it's not that I'm upset that he didn't really answer. I didn't really expect him to even answer at all. But I kind of like, I didn't really think anything of it back then. But now, seeing kind of how he's interacted with everybody, I look into it a little bit more. But it's just kind of like, yeah, heard suggestions like this before. Something to think about for sure. Thanks. And it's kind of just like, I really, again, like, I don't think this is, like, a huge idea. I think Classic Era has really gotten the rough end of this. Like, there's so many tiny, tiny, tiny quality of life features they could throw to Era. A Scourge event once a year would be huge and make a lot of people there happy. Something to fix the world buffs would be easy. And I don't like Agron on Twitter being like, well, or the Light Club Discord being like, well, we actually don't have that much time. Like, we really don't have a lot of time at all. And it's like, brother, Blizzard's like $1 billion company. Like, I'm not buying, I'm not buying it that you don't have the resources to do what you need to do. But anyways, my big issue with this whole paragraph, and I'm gonna, really get into it, is that he talks about how he's going to be spending more time in Discords. You know what Discords he's in? You guessed it. He's only in the Paladin Discord, the class he mains. I am in every single Discord. For every single class. He's not in any of them except for the Paladin Discord. So I don't really buy that he has all the classes' best interest. That's going to be next. But normalizing rage, like, I didn't even want to discuss this. I don't even want to get into it on why this is such a fucking stupid idea. It feels like a huge lie, to be honest. I don't know how else to describe it, but there's a scene, there's an episode of Malcolm in the Middle. If you've never seen the show, it's a pretty good sitcom. It has Bryan Cranston in it, Frankie Muniz, and I think there's a few other big names I can't really think of off the top of my head. But basically, they're a very broke family in the suburban family. Oh my god, I can't talk. And one of the episode's bits is that they are not doing store-bought presents; they're doing homemade presents. And as they're doing that, Hal, the dad, completely forgets. No, he doesn't. Actually, okay, I've remembered it now. I've tried to record this 3 times, so I just now remember the plot. His gifts are super shit compared to his whole family, so he feels really bad, and he's like, oh, well, my gift isn't here. My gift is really far away. And he just starts driving the family kind of in the middle of nowhere, and he has no idea where he's going. Eventually, they stop at a gas station, and he steals his son's credit card. While he's in his wallet, he finds out they weren't store-bought, goes off. Anyways, I'm getting a little bit too into it. But my point is that Warrior and a lot of stuff in SOD feels like that car ride in that episode. It doesn't really seem like they have like a full idea as much as they talk about the future. And they're just kind of throwing stuff out to see what happens and closing their eyes and kind of hoping the best. They're throwing a Hail Mary, they're closing their eyes and just praying it's caught. But like this just even being an idea is... I have no words. I have no words to describe how fucking stupid it is. Like, I feel if this actually goes through, I would feel so fucking lied to, because the selling point of this game was for a vanilla classic version of the game. Nomer, ST, BFD, all cool rates, all cool. Is that the stuff that I'm gonna remember in 10 years? Fucking absolutely not. It's cool, but 10 years from now, I'm not gonna be like, man, I really wish I'd be playing that iteration of vanilla. No, I'm gonna be like, dude, I'm Fury buffed, fully buffed Fury Warrior. Excuse me. I woke up from a nap to record this. I figured I'd be less cranky or less angry as I'm recording it. But fully buffed Warrior, people have been playing that for like almost 20 fucking years, bro. Like, that doesn't need a change. Selling this as vanilla and then drastically changing the most popular class to be completely fundamentally different. I'm not talking like they've nerfed it a little bit. This completely fucks the class. Like, this class is absolutely fucking bricked if this happens. And if you are part of the group of people who thinks that that's good because Warrior dumpstered you in 2019, you are part of the problem. Like, you are absolutely part of the problem if you enable that to happen. If you think that a class that is very good getting shit on for no reason, in that iteration of the game they are supposed to be good in, which is why people play that. It's the same reason why people rewatch shows, go to the same restaurants, inform habits of places that they go to, because they know what it's going to be like, they enjoy it, and they're just going to keep going there. Like, I'm going to keep rewatching The Sopranos because I know it's good, and I'm going to enjoy every part of it, except for, maybe the whole, Melfi stuff, Play of the Year shit. But the whole season, whole show, phenomenal, right? I know it's going to be good every time I rewatch it. Every time I go to In-N-Out, I know it's going to be good. I've never had a bad experience at In-N-Out. That is a habitual place I go to, right? Vanilla WoW. These classic versions are solved. Even SOD, there's not much in there that isn't solved very quickly. It takes like a week for them to solve everything. ST is already being speedrun in like 25 minutes. You know what I mean? This is not super complex retail stuff that isn't already solved. It's based off of raids that have already been made. The solved aspect of classic is what keeps people coming back, and nostalgia. But because everything's solved, there's no risk of investing a ton of time into a class to just have it be nerfed into the ground like it would in retail in the process of re-rolling and going through everything again. Re-rolling isn't fun, by the way. Like, I don't know anyone who's ever like, yeah, oh yeah, my class just got fucked, but I'd really love to re-roll. So again, horrible idea, TLDR. And my response is, I'm not verified, but my response is actually heavily liked. And that made me pretty happy. I was not expecting that. My solution, I have like 4 responses. One I tweeted this morning. It looks very schizo. Don't touch warriors. Easiest solution. Hurting the most popular class is not a good idea at all. That's really mainly from a business standpoint. Phase 2 was awful for Melee, and the light at the end of the tunnel was that we'd be gods again at 60. That's how I felt in Phase 1, where the runes were pretty lackluster. Phase 3, the runes were a little bit lackluster. And if Phase 3 was bad, that's what I would have sold myself on again. You said it yourself. It's a vanilla iteration of the game. He did. He said this about a week ago, and of course, he's deleted it since then. But lucky for us, there is a Wowhead article clearly stating it. I'm actually just going to pull this up right now. Season of Discovery. I'm going to put this in the description, but I just wanted to put this here. This is the post where Aggrend says, after all, this is a vanilla iteration of the game. This is going to be in the description. See, Vanilla WoW, he mentions it a ton of times. Vanilla, vanilla, vanilla. This is a vanilla version. This is a version of Vanilla Classic. He mentions it like 3 times in that. Taking away from Warriors at 60 after we've sat through 3 phases. Warriors always been a wait till the end of the game class. So drastically changing this, but he's like, well, we should have done it from the start. That would have been fine if you did it from the start. It would have sucked, but like at least there wouldn't have been the massive time investment that there is now. But taking away from Warriors after we sat through 3 phases of mediocre runes, the inability to PvE farm, and being awful in PvP sounds like a genuinely awful idea. Vanilla Warrior is a special thing, and there's a reason that people have been playing it for decades. And this is from this morning. I want to add one last thought. Not only have you said it's a vanilla iteration of the game in the last week, but you also had a literal slide at BlizzCon alluding to bringing every class up to Warrior as well. Going back on that at Warriors at peak 60, a class that lives for the endgame feels super, super disingenuous. There's been hundreds of hours sunken into this, and mainly a lot of that in hopes of getting to feel the power creep of 60 Warrior again. I cannot overstate enough how genuinely awful of an idea this is. And I have the most liked response. My post, maybe besides like Sarth and the other big guys who are responding, has the most traction. I have 153 likes. 154 if I like, just kidding. But I don't know if he's actually going to read this. I don't know. I have no idea. There are so many awful replies for people who just, I feel like deep wounds, like it was never meant to scale this way, like this, and like just people who like talk about classes that I'm like, I have no idea if you've ever actually played, not even just Warrior, but like other classes. Like I don't know, dude. It's weird. I feel like SOD has attracted a lot of people that never played Vanilla Classic or never played Vanilla, and want to drastically change the things how they should function a vanilla iteration of the game. I know it's a change, it's essentially Vanilla Plus, but if you're selling it as a vanilla iteration of the game, it needs to somewhat remain relative to that. So I think there's a lot of people who just like want to drastically change things to vanilla, and it doesn't make sense to me. SOD as a whole doesn't make a lot of sense to me in a selling point. There are people who are adamant that they want 40-man raids because that's what all 40 people or vanilla is about, and then in the same breath will tell you that world buffs are fucking stupid, and that Warrior being good is fucking stupid, despite leaning on the, well, it is vanilla, we should, and it's like, well, if that's how you feel, you shouldn't dislike those other 2 things. They're mutually exclusive with each other. But anyways, final thing to harp on. Season of Discovery DPS ranking and raid tier list. Look how close all this is. All this is. And you're just looking at this. You're not looking at insane to PvP, great moneymaker, can solo pretty much anything. Bad PvP, good for literally just good in raid. One of the best healers with one of the best tanks for 2 phases. I guess they've kind of gotten a little shafted. But I mean, I don't buy that either. I don't buy that Shaman's that low either. Shaman healing feels cracked, bro. I don't buy that. But you have this insane utility that Shaman brings, and I don't buy it. Like, there's so many options. Can't get it as enhance. Ellie, tank, healer, tank and DPS are bad. Can't do it. I'm getting sidetracked. But like, look how close all this is. This like in a relative scale together. Even Ellie, like these classes could use a minor push. This could use a minor push. Very, very minor, just to get this all into the kind of like 800 bracket. But I mean, even then, like, insane. Like, this is Shadow Priest is, in my opinion, the most biggest utility class in the entire SOD, in all of SOD. Like, it's Shadow Priest and then Shaman, but Shadow Priest is fucking insane. Like, I don't know, they'll always get a spot regardless. Their damage is bad, but yeah, they're amazing at PvP. Like, you know what I mean? They have the ability to heal too. When you get like this, just they're so good. But again, yeah, like these should be buffed a little bit. Maybe, you know, put them in the 800 DPS bracket too. Give them a little bit. Give these guys a little bit of love. But I just don't know. It seems very balanced to me in a raid setting. If you're not looking at, you know, insane farming, blah blah blah, insane farming in the real world. Like, I think all of this feels relatively balanced. There's not a single fight in there where I'm like, yeah, man, or multiple fights, where it's like, yeah, 80% of this raid is just catered to range, which is what it felt like in Nomer. It was like, yeah, this raid is just so much easier with range. Like, it's kind of tough to bring in melee for this. And but that doesn't feel good. Like, it's like, okay, as a melee, how do I justify my spot in the raid? And you feel that way every single week. You look at the logs and you're like, everyone's pumping but me. How do I justify that? Like, it doesn't matter what you do, how skilled you are. Like, you're just still going to be getting dumpstered by everybody. There's no utility you bring, especially as a warrior or rogue. It's just like, you don't have that. So these classes being good makes sense. But that's my talk. It's very balanced right now, and who knows how it's going to look with gear in a few weeks. Feral seems to be doing a lot more than this. Like, Feral's actually cranking. And so is Ranged Hunter. I don't know. Anyways, take care, y'all.